So guys, now the screensaver will deliver, here. I is G Shimani and Moses, they went to the meeting. I'm afraid that the presence of the outsiders will attract those of whom we do not speak. Is speaking of those who are we talking about, you don't mention whether you those whom we have not mentioned? Don't mention those who can't be mentioned and on which we do not speak. I instead read them and to be Nura. The evolution of video game series Street Fighter. Street Fighter is one of the most famous series of fighting games, which for the past several decades pleases fans around the world. Games of this series were sold in millions of copies. They put an excellent rating, the world's best publications. However, when the world saw the first game of the series, few would have thought that it was going to end such a grand success. Street Fighter 1. The game was developed by Japanese company Capcom and it was released in 1987 years. Then console and personal computers have not had such popularity as today, and the game was released for arcade machines. The player was offered to play for the Japanese karate master named Ryu, who needs to win the tournament, battling it out with opponents from different countries. The principle of slot machines has been simple and straightforward. If you want to play, don't forget to enclose the coins. And the game really caused the interest, forcing the gamer to move away from the machine until the last opponent is defeated. The mechanic was also rather unusual for that time. Through 3 types of punches and kicks, all of which differ in speed and capacity and can exist in various combinations. By examining these combinations, a player can effectively fight with computer opponents. Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior. A full-fledged sequel of the series came out in 1991 year, and also was initially exclusively available in the arcade. Actually, in Japan there is still a lot of clubs with such machines, where regular people come to play your favorite projects from different genres. In addition, this distribution model has helped to earn the maximum amount of money. The major changes to the combat system, which made a much more profound and unusual. Improved graphics, the arena and the fighters themselves began to look a little more realistic. The main innovation we can safely recognize the opportunity to choose any fighter in the list than the first part could not boast. The game has been through 6 major updates and is one of the most successful in the history of the series. Street Fighter Alpha. This marked the universe could not do without the games that are associated with the main story and only partially represent a separate history. Some projects even grew a full-fledged series. So, in the mid-90s IES published 3-part Street Fighter Alpha games, where was made a certain bias towards realism, as well as have the opportunity to block kicks opponents in the air, to strike from the block. At the same time appeared a series of Street Fighter X, which has 3 parts. This time the game was focused primarily on a home console and could boast an impressive array of fighters, some of which were exclusive. Appeared 3-dimensional graphics to come for the tastes of many players who started to think about the possibility to try something new. The Versus series is an unique phenomenon, as it's Street Fighter mixed with Marvel Comics characters and universes. Players could arrange a fight between Wolverine from X-Men and his old friend Ryu from the very first part of Street Fighter. The latest project was released in 2011 year and the theme still continues to be quite popular. Street Fighter 3, New Generation. In 1997 year, the authors decided to expose a series of global rethinking, and it has caused very mixed reactions among players. For example, a huge number of new characters from the previous parts took just 2 fighters. At the same time became available, the cost of the arena has been updated. The mechanics remained at the level of the second part. In other words, many new fighters fought exactly the same as the old ones. This part of the series no doubt became commercially successful, has gone through several updates and was released on almost all modern for their time consoles. However, she will forever remain the most controversial game in the main parts of Street Fighter. Street Fighter 4. The next part of the fans had to wait for 10 years, or rather, 11. In 2007 the announcement was held, and a year later the game released for arcade machines in Japan. Release on the 7th generation consoles and computers was held in 2008. The game quickly received positive reviews from major sites and magazines. Indeed, to complement the project was for that. The project is designed in 3D, but remains a traditional two-dimensional fighting game that many of us loved in the days of consoles Nintendo and Sega. Street Fighter V. Street Fighter V has kept the model in a side-scrolling fighting game with 2 fighters trying to defeat each other using a variety of attacks and special abilities. The game has X scale, familiar with Street Fighter 3, which is filled during their attacks. The scale can be used to enhance special moves and for the super combo called the critical arts. Focus attacks have been removed after the previous game. Introduced a new V-scale, which is populated when you pass attacks. V-scale is associated with new techniques, V-skills, V-applications, V-triggers. V-skills is a special attack unique to each fighter. So, Ryu can parry and M. Bison may reflect flying objects. V-treatment is counterattack. V-triggers take the V-scale, so that the player has performed a unique ability, be it temporary increases damage done by Ryu or additional strikes in the attack from Chun-Li. There is also a scale stun, which is populated when you pass consecutive attacks. If this scale is full, the player will get stun. The game features interactive arenas with special animations, demonstrated in the defeat of the player in a certain part of the arena. The graphics are nice, caressing eyes. Almost all the familiar characters also appeared on a place, and the music evoked pleasant memories. The game was a success and this proves a decent level of sales. The game includes 16 characters, 4 of them will be new to the series. After the release of several of the characters will develop and add in regular updates. These additional characters you can buy in-game currencies, any purchased with real money, and the war money, acquired in the gameplay. Unofficial announcement of the game took place on December 5, 2014 through a video posted on YouTube, which soon was removed. The game has officially presented the next day in Las Vegas at the PlayStation Experience event. It became known that the game will be cross-platform gameplay between PS4 and PC. June 12, 2015 Capcom said that the game will not be released on Xbox One due to the deal with Sony Computer Entertainment. Speaking about the deal, Matt Dahlgren from Capcom said, "One of the reasons our partnership with Sony that we are unanimous in their views on the potential development of the genre of fighting games. A key aspect of development is the implementation of cross-platform game. For the first time we unite our community into a centralized player base." The company Capcom has announced the system requirements of the 5th series Fighting Street Fighter. As it became known, GameBomb.ru wishing to play a new game have to be RAM. Requirements Street Fighter V, as expected, are relatively low. However, the game suddenly requires a lot of RAM. According to representatives of Capcom, just to run the game, gamers will need a computer with minimum characteristics. The recommended requirements: the PC will allow you to enjoy the game optimal quality.
Round 2. Fight!